This video is going to be about using PHP on the server side for server-side scripting. So it's one of its points where it really excels. It's one of the best server-side scripting languages that there is. And there's some basic rules that you should know. It was, I think, originally designed as server-side script, so it's really good for server-side scripting. It follows most of the basic rules as apply with the command line interface applications. If you haven't seen my videos on producing command line interface applications, I would recommend watching that to get a basis of basically how to code. This is going to be the additional stuff you're going to want to extend into in knowing how to work with this in the sense of using it for server-side scripting. So we're going to take a look at one of the other things that we're going to need to know about is our super global variables. Each of these variables is an array, and it's an associative array. So server brings you all of your server variables. One of the key ones to know would be your request underscore method. Most server variables are all uppercase. We're actually going to see a list of server variables on here. There's also session variables. Those are useful in dealing with your sessions. If you're going to be using sessions, there's a few things you also need to be aware of. PHP in most configurations doesn't keep an active pool of those session variables, like in CGI format. Whenever it's running in CGI configuration, it's going to allow you to write to those session variables, and then it needs to dump those session variables somewhere safe where they can be stored, because it's going to delete that entire CGI executable. The entire script engine is going to be destroyed, not just your script, the entire script engine. So to save those variables that are in there, they need to be written somewhere safe, like a file somewhere or into a database. So it's going to do that. So you're going to need to call session underscore start. It's a function, and that tells it to either create a new session or start up whatever is existing, any existing session that there has been. And that's where you're going to look for your session ID to figure that out. Is there an existing session? Is it expired? Can we pull that information? That's something which it's going to look for. And then whenever you log the person out, you'll want to destroy that session. That's a function as well, session underscore destroy. And you're also going to ideally destroy the cookie as well, which had the session ID in it, if you used cookies for it. If you used a query string, and even if you didn't use a query string, it might be good to redirect your entire page somewhere else where you lose your entire query string. And that can be done by calling a function of header. And when you call header, you cannot have called any other outputs first. You need to make sure you call it before you call anything else that comes out, just like you would call session underscore start before you try to access any of the session variables. So what you're going to do is, you're going to call header, and then you're going to pass it a header in the parenthesis there. It'll be a string with a header, and in that case, to redirect, that would be location, colon, space, and then the URL where you're redirecting them to. And that can be relative to the existing page. And then it would also be good, if you want to, for security reasons, to go ahead and exit to make sure you end your request. Do whatever you need to do to shut that request down and terminate it right there. So those are things that you can do to destroy a session. So getting back onto our variables here. The cookie $_cookie. Those are for all your cookies. So that's how you access your cookies from PHP. You read those through there. You read your get query string through $_get. And that gets you all your stuff that's over there, like that on your URL when it gives you that question mark and then a variable name equals a value, ampersand, variable name equals another value, ampersand, goes on until finally you get tired of that or whatever happens. Anyway, that's the query string, and this is going to pull variables there. Now, the get and the post particularly, in fact, actually, I think all of these guys here, if you have like multiple variables, it really applies to get and post, because those are the ones that are most likely is going to happen. If you have two variables that were sent in with the same name, only, I think it's the last one that sticks, but only one of them sticks. You don't have access to them. It's not like Microsoft Active Server pages where it creates an array for you. It just simply makes them disappear on PHP. So all your variables that you're using, you want to make sure they're sent in with unique names. Post is for the form values whenever you send in a post request. And then files is for all your file uploads. So now we're going to take a look and see where this is our sample page, and this is another best practice to mention. You'll notice that my PHP starts all the way down here. I just let all that just be HTML. I let all this be HTML. I go back into HTML. I take advantage of PHP's ability to, that's all HTML, and then I come back down into here and I've got my PHP again. So I only opened up in a couple places where I needed it. The rest of the time I just typed standard HTML. So I used my open directives and close directives for my script. And there are these open directives for script and close directives. I use those to just make it a whole lot easier. This is where I have that server request method. This is where we demonstrate how you would access that. This should be either get or post most of the time. And in this case, we're checking to see if it's post, because if it is, then we are going to have my field returned, and we're going to put that in the value. So that's what that piece of script does. Plus, we're also going to dump all of our server variables down here, and you'll notice I did it in a pre-formatted area. Because when you use var dump, it automatically sends it to the output. It doesn't send it to a string for you. You can't just get it as a return value. So you've got to pre-format it on the HTML side, because you can't do anything else with it. It's already gone to the output. So this is how we do a basic page. And now we're going to take a look and see how that works over here. Our sample website. So this is our field, and if we enter a value onto here and we submit, it would show that it stays. And now we're going to view that source, and you'll see it put it right in here as the value. So it allows me to post it back with that. It's a great way to set values of text fields programmatically behind the scenes. That way users don't have to do as much work. Now this is a dump of that server, of those server variables. We got all kinds of loggable information, which IP stem do they call in on, user agents. It wouldn't hurt at all to go ahead and make your own dump like this, and get all of your server variables on here. And that content length, by the way, is not going to... Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's the content length of what was posted. Never mind me. That's the posted content length. And, yeah, I mean, it just keeps coming down here, and we've even got certain other things, too, like pads. That was called in from environment variables. Some of these guys are back to environment variables, which is useful to have. If you need the environment variables, you can use $_, and that's all caps, env, and then that's an array that gives you your environment variables. But most of these are called as associative arrays by their string names. So in this case it was my field. I used $_post bracket quote my field quote bracket, and that returns me the value that I posted. And yeah, I mean, there's just all kinds of good information you can get down here, but like I said, one of the most important ones is your request method. You can even get your query string and request URIs, all kinds of good stuff in here.
Thank you for watching.